I don't know what to think about meta, right? I don't know what to think about these catchphrases that these technologies that we have, that these new technologies, Web3, blockchain, you know, NFTs as digital assets. All these things interest me, and it's great. But like some of these acronyms, man, like the meta, and like using OP as a gamer and using meta to explain the space. Sometimes it makes me a little bit conflicted. I don't know about you guys, and I probably am the only one talking like this right now. In fact, I can almost guarantee it. But I would say this. I don't know what's going on here right now, but we're going to watch about Meta. This is the company formerly known as Facebook. This is Mark Zuckerberg, who we call the Cuck, the Cuckerberg. This is about the most almost real boy that ever lived. He's like an AI Pinocchio, if you will. And I don't know, but he is a very smart dude. A robot, sorry. He's obviously not human. And he's pretty dumb for a robot, though. Other robots laugh at him. But for humans, very smart robot. And I'm not quite sure how to take it. Like, I don't know what's going to happen to Meta. What do you guys think about Meta? Now, I like that I'm really talking this up. This is a thrill seeker video. And I love that I'm talking this up right now with, you know, I'm trying to be very serious. Very similar, like what you have is a serious, non-serious sandwich. So I'm like the serious piece of bread here. Those two people behind are also very serious pieces of bread. And then you have like Thrill Seeker in the middle, who is really just like a spicy queso cheese or a pepper jack, probably more like a pepper jack cheese in the middle of us. And the pepper jack is the promise of what is to come. The amazingness, not the seriousness, but the thrill, because we all seek it. So let's try and figure out exactly what is going to go on with Zuckerberg and Meta, because I have to know the direction here. I have to know. I should know it's going to be corporate. I should know. But again, I'm being a serious piece of bread, and I don't want that right now. I want some serious, fun pepper jack. You understand? Let's get to the pepper jack.
Something must be happening over at HackerWay, because this isn't normal. Budget cuts or misdirection, I don't know. Meta must be on fire right now.
The stock market's on fire in a bad way.
Hello and welcome to Wednesday News Day, your #1 resource for the entire week's worth of VR news. It's finally time. Connect just happened, and we've got a lot to break down. Sorry for my scratchy voice, I do have a little cold, but I just had to do this video after watching Connect. The Quest Pro has finally been released, but we gotta talk. Things are a little different at Meta right now, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting a little worried about them. But HTC may be back in the ring with something big coming from them soon. Free full body tracking is on its way, and RuneScape just sponsored this video. No, seriously, RuneScape is no joke my actual childhood. I remember staying up all night anytime I had the chance to play, and it's something I've always held really dear to my heart. So when they offered to support my channel by talking about some cool updates they've been pushing with RuneScape, I was absolutely down. And oh boy, RuneScape has evolved since I last logged on, and is looking pretty darn good. In case you don't know, RuneScape is a very deep, massively online multiplayer game with quests, dungeons, bosses, skills, and of course, tree chopping. And right now they're doing a pretty sweet Fresh Start Worlds event just for members that offer servers with wipes, something that totally changes the—
Wait, I'm confused. Are they doing like a VR RuneScape? Yeah, I don't like the shill. I don't like the shill. Let's just shame for the shill right now. Like, that's just something I always do.
Shame.
I will never do that.
Shame.
I've made a blood vow that I won't do this,
Shame.
no matter how many millions of subscribers that I have after I'm dead. Because that's how it's going to happen, posthumously. But like, one thing I'm wondering, is this three-dimensional VR RuneScape? Because I'm not quite sure why he's putting it on the channel. What's up, Void Dude? How you doing, buddy? Good to see you, man. Because I'm feeling like this shill is actually interesting me. Like, imagine having this done in VR. That'd be fucking badass. That'd be badass.
MMO dynamic. In my opinion, in a good way. It's a fresh MMO feel with
the
classic
best day
groups,
that I
giving
can
you a
possibly
chance
get.
to
Better
experience
now that
all
you
the
guys
fun
are
of a
here.
fresh launch with everyone on the server at the same time. Then you can even take that character to the main server. Actually pretty smart. And in case you're wondering why I'm talking about a flat screen game on a VR channel, well, think again. Of course, this isn't officially supported, but I never ever thought that I would be playing RuneScape with a VR headset on. But here I am. So
What?
put on your mithril armor, use the links down below, and hop in. Thank you again, RuneScape, for supporting this channel, but we have a lot to cover, so let's just get right into the news. So, Meta Connect, or as some people are calling it, Meta Disconnect. Let me just preface this a little bit. Connect is an event that happens pretty much every year for the past 9 years, and at this event, there's a pretty good mix of gaming, consumer, AR, and VR hardware information, enterprise, sneak peeks at future projects. It's usually a pretty decent mix of things to get everyone excited about the next year of VR. And the only thing I can really take away after this Connect is that things are just different. But I can say pretty confidently that Connect may just not be for us anymore. At least this one wasn't. This wasn't an event to get people excited.
Yeah, like this was an event to get people excited. I was just gonna say, like right. It seems like a very snoozy. Like even the people that look like they were having fun weren't having fun. Like that, I feel like just a bunch of boring little meta crickets. Like I literally feel that too. Erad is coming through the screen.
Excited about VR or to announce some big projects, it's, well, let me just explain what happened. We finally got an official release of the Meta Quest Pro, and it's pretty much everything that we expected. Really looking like a pretty awesome headset. 4 times the resolution of the Quest 2, pancake lenses, 12 gigabytes of RAM, an upgraded Snapdragon XR2 Plus processor, color pass-through, ringless controllers. It looks great, but it's pretty darn expensive, coming in at $1,500 for pre-order. That will ship in just a couple weeks. But it's simply not a VR headset with consumers in mind. Even though typical consumers can use and buy it, it's really built for enterprise and work solutions, which pretty much sums up all of Connect. It wasn't for us at all. And in general, the whole conference was just weird. In terms of gaming anything, which I know this isn't and wasn't a gaming focused event, but pretty much nothing was announced. The Quest 2 was hardly even mentioned besides some fitness applications and a couple trailers for games that we already knew were coming. We also got this—
Dude, they went total salad vibes with it. You feel it? You can feel it in his content. You can feel the salad vibes going through, like, from the event through Thrill Seeker's video and now into our stream. It's just infecting us with salad vibes.
Warning, incoming salad vibes.
Yeah, like I just feel it. I feel it right now. Like it's kind of crazy. Like what's going on here?
This few second trailer for, I don't even know what this was.
What was that?
There's no Assassin's Creed or GTA, nothing. And I think Meta is in pretty obviously a weird situation. And I have a feeling that
they are in bad shape. You know, this whole restructuring is just like a giant nuke that went off on Facebook. And you know what? Facebook was, let's be real. Facebook was eventually going to die with Generation X. Like really? I don't think anybody below Generation X even uses Facebook. And, you know, Mark, even though he's got, was it Instagram is the other one? That one's still fairly popular. But, like, he wanted to be relevant. He still wants to be relevant. He knows he has to change with the times. He sees what's coming down the road. You know, this is why these visionaries, this is why these entrepreneurs, these why these people, and I'm not a big fan of Mark at all, so that really puts a bad taste in my mouth when I describe him like this. But when you see these people who have this kind of cash, this type of cheddar, right? These guys are thinking like 10 steps ahead. These guys are thinking 10 years down the road. So, you know, these things are going to come whether we want them or not. This is, you know, Web3, blockchain, NFTs, like the banking system's having a fuck of a time right now. All people over 43 years old, pretty much, which we you know, like, and older, much older, actually, more like in their 60s, but like in that age group are tied to like what we call legacy finance, which is the way that we are currently doing business throughout the world today with currencies, with fiat. But we're seeing like this switch, and eventually this legacy financial system will die. With me being Generation X being the last of it, and everybody prior to Generation X, they're already in crypto. They're already in these things. They're not even questioning it. market's doing bad. Everybody's going to be going down this big roller coaster. We're going to get wiped out. You know, everything that's happening with OPEC right now and them cutting the barrels of oil, you know, and the supply is going to take us off the petrodollar. The dollar's probably going to be trashed unless the Fed and Jay Powell decide to do something, which is, again, going back to the old panacea of printing money and making the printer go brrr, you know, like, you know, these things like this whole thing is a Ponzi, guys. Everything's a Ponzi, man. The whole thing's a fucking structured pyramid, you know, like that's why I laugh when people say, oh, NFTs are Ponzi. So is what we're doing right now. It's also a Ponzi. Like we're all stuck in different various forms of Ponzi's. This is the way that this world is structured. It's flawed. It's going to probably crumble in on itself. And out of that will come a new system, and it's probably going to be Web3, and it's going to be cryptos, and it's going to be all this shit. And everybody that doesn't think that way will eventually die. You know, like, you know, it's the way that people thought about when they had the radio, when they went to TV, you know, went to cable, to Netflix. It's just a natural progression of technology and science. It's not really difficult to figure out what's going on. But what I'm wondering is, will they do it? Will Mark find a way through this change, this nuke that he let out? Like, because he is like, listen, here's the change. It's going to happen. I'm going to be part of it. And he wants to make a lot of money of it. But I don't know if it's going to be successful this time. I don't know what to think. So let's keep watching.
That it's starting to really affect the company internally and externally. Whereas last year's Connect was this mic drop metaverse moment that the whole world watched, the heat and blowback of that Connect pretty drastically affected the tone of this one. It was almost entirely business talk. To sum it up, they announced a partnership with Microsoft, the previous partnership with Qualcomm was mentioned, the capabilities of pass-through and mixed reality were glanced over, but I think the biggest moment was when Meta announced an open ecosystem, showing that they have very obviously pivoted from a lot of their original plans, that they want to be the Microsoft to OS X or the Android to iOS. And this just goes to show how different Meta really is now versus 1 year ago. And I'm gonna be totally real and honest. Meta looks like they're in trouble, and even if you can't see it on their faces, you can see it in their stock price. This whole thing was very obviously an appeal to stockholders while being—
Yes, it was. And the stock is tanking. And let me tell you something though. The interesting thing is, these guys have banked off of technology, right? They all had one thing in common, and that was their ability to stick with their vision. They adapted, they stuck with it, and it ended up winning the day. I don't know if you guys remember the .com bubble. Probably most of you guys weren't born, but like the stock market went through to the moon like Bitcoin did. And recently, and it just fucking went right back down again because everybody speculated the hell out of all these new internet, like the internet. It was brand new. They speculated everything, very much like what I'm seeing with crypto right now. Everybody rushed in to speculate what was going to be the winner. That's what's happening right now with crypto. If you guys aren't aware of it, it ain't going away. It's been here for 13 years. But what happened recently last year was that everybody came into the market. There was an excess of money that was printed by the government. More than half of our money supply that was created over the total span of years since money was created was printed, and when the pandemic hit. Like that is a huge statistic. But by the way, that is a lot of an additional devaluation. Like when you print that much, which is crazy because not a lot of that's getting pulled out of the system right now. Yet the dollar is just going through the roof because it's the only stable currency, you know, compared, because we ship out debt. Anyway, I won't get into that economic discussion. I won't get into that. But these guys all had the same thing. They all stuck through it. And what my point is even though Meta's stock price is going down and down and down, and I question this very much similar to Thrill Seeker, I think also that Meta might be in trouble. Just if something feels awry. But look at Bezos back in the days of the .com bubble when that fucking thing went through the moon and then just tanked down to like $2 or $3. Amazon was $2 to $3. it had this meteoric rise, right? And just fucking crashed down to $2. In trading, it's really all about timing. This last time, I didn't do so good, right? But I got to stick with it. And eventually, if you have any hope left in you, that things will get better, that's pretty much what an investor is. They stick to what they know. They research the hell out of what it is that they're investing in, and they believe it, and they dollar cost average, especially when they're stuck, because then it's not about trading. It's about investing. You go from trader to investor real quick in a market that's a bear market. But one thing that I will say is this. I'm not quite sure Meta's going to come back out of this. I'm kind of like we're thrill seeker right now. I don't know if Mark's going to be able to do it, to stick like Bezos did in the late 90s after the dot-com boom going into 2000. I mean, Bezos stuck to it, and the stock just went meteoric afterwards. But it took about, I can't remember, this is off the top of my head, but at least a decade to get back to the prices that it mooned to in early 2000, when the dot-com bubble went, right? So it took that long, approximately. Sorry, that's off the top of my head, but it took that long to get to that price that it did in the meteoric rise. So again, this is a multi-decade thing that's happening right now. VR, where it's heading, it's a multi-decade thing. This is not like overnight. But they will. Once technology starts to improve and AI starts to get out there like it should and help us design things and come up with new ideas, because AI is going to do that. And then AI will fabricate these parts. And once AI gets on board, dude, things are going to happen so fast we're not even going to be aware of like the newest invention. There'll be so many new things happening. That's if we don't blow ourselves up before now and then.
Being as sure as possible that they don't get memed for it. And I'm about to give you my initial reaction and thought, but part of this...
I like this, because now I want to ask chat, and I want to ask everybody watching YouTube right now, put a 1 in if you think Meta's going to crash and burn, and put a 2 in if you think they're going to survive on the other side. 1 if you think they're going to crash and burn, 2 if you think they're going to survive. We got some 2s. There's so much cash. Yeah, there's so much cash, dude. Yeah. Like I'm telling you right now, it's like a toss up for me. Red Bear says 3. You're always different, Red Bear.
This could be totally wrong, so don't take this as fact, but really, Meta is in trouble. Even just on the VR side of things, the entire industry has a loaded gun pointed at the company. The Federal Trade Commission is hot on their heels for anti-competitive practices. Yeah. Their stock price hasn't been this low in years, and competition is lining up, and so many of their projects have failed or are failing. The most recent news articles are about how Meta can't even get their own employees into their own VR social app, and their original attempts to foster a much more closed ecosystem have all crumbled. The Meta operating system was canned last year, and their own custom silicon seems to be down the gutter as well. But this isn't negative. All of this is good. For us, the industry, it's even good for Meta. Let's be totally real. Meta have...
Because it puts their nose to the grindstone. This is what bear markets are good for. It takes out all the fluff. It cuts all the bullshit. It cuts all the speculators out. It just kills it. It snuffs it. This is what bear markets do. It's a healthy thing. Like what's happening in the economy right now, and trust me, it's going to be painful for a lot of people, including myself. I say this realizing that there's going to be a lot of hurt out there, and I'm going to feel terrible for a lot of people having just probably some of the most difficult times ever. But bear markets, economically speaking, what they do is it's very healthy. And what they do is it cuts down all the fluff and the excess and the speculation that didn't need to do that. And then it takes companies like these and it makes them work. It's like, listen, like we know you've got a lot of money, but everybody around you's fallen. So what are you going to do to stay alive? How are you going to do it? And then the nose goes to the grindstone and innovation pops out from bear markets. Innovation, if a company can last through a bear market, it's probably going to stick around for quite some time. And the best time ever to invest is in a bear market. But the timing, it's always about the timing. So you have to be careful. Again, not financial advice. Just my experience. But really the best time to invest is when there's blood in the streets. Now, it could get a lot bloodier. I mean, there's an impending war, nuclear war, tensions with China, Taiwan, like what's going on with China and Taiwan and chips right now and supply chains. And we've kind of gone back to our fractals again and drawn our lines, and they mean more now. And we got to reinforce it more with troops. And, all these things are happening where that global trade model is starting to break down. That global thing's starting to break down, and it's getting scary. It's getting a little bit scary. And so, like, really the only way that we can thrive as a species is if we do have this global trade initiative. But then again, of course, politics, comes into play, and, it's not as easy as it seems. It's just this crazy web. I love economy, economic discussion, but I digress. We're getting off point.
Not played nice, and they haven't been very smart. Removing Oculus from everything was stupid. Being anti-competitive to so many companies practicing a buy and bury strategy isn't good for growth for themselves or VR. And being the only company able to compete in a segment means that you're also the only target. I think that this whole year has been a kick to the balls for Meta. And this is coming from someone that loves the Quest 2. I love that so many people have been able to get into VR because of it. I love Beat Saber, I love the whole industry. But all these things that have added up that I've been complaining about for years are now starting to really bite them in the butt. Yep. It's not my fault and it's not your fault, but there have just been so many fumbles.
So,
in my opinion, this may be a changed Meta. It feels like they have hard pivoted from building their own ecosystems with their own operating system in silicon and hardware to instead working with the entire industry to bring VR to the future. And I don't think it's because Meta wants to, it's because they are gonna have to. And I really, really hope that their future moves are closer to what they've been doing recently, driving the industry not through control and buying everyone or out-competing everyone to the point that nobody can compete, but by forming partnerships and working together to make VR better, more useful, and have more applications, as well as fostering a more competitive environment so the entire industry can grow, not just Meta. At the end of it all, this Connect wasn't bad, but you can tell that Meta is drained. And I'm not sure what's going to happen next, or if it's even going to happen, but I think we're about to see a much more friendly.
He even looks tired. The robot looks actually tired, man. the robot looks tired.
And industry open Meta within the next few years.
NFS?
Maybe even a Meta redemption arc, we'll see. And I think if any of you have known my channel or watched my channel for any period of time, you'll know that I do not hate Meta or Facebook or Oculus. I'm only critical because they've done bad things that I disagree with in the past. They haven't been very nice to the industry. Yes, you might have a cheap VR headset, but that doesn't mean much if the industry's dead. However, I love what they do, and it's honestly sad to see Meta this way. It's like watching someone trying to walk after getting hit by a bus. I don't know, like I said, it's just weird. And maybe Connect just isn't for us consumers anymore. Maybe we memed it too hard last year. Or maybe it'll be better next year when there's more consumer-focused things. But like I said, I think we're about to see a very different Meta in the near future, and in a positive way. And for Meta's sake, and for the whole VR industry's sake, I truly hope that that is true. But now it's time for a meme break! Quest users once found...
Which makes me think, the reason why I'm really thinking about this is first for the gaming industry, right? Like, it's almost like rooting for the Empire to make something really cool, because that the Empire is really the only people capable of creating the technology, because the rebels, they don't have that tech. It's really kind of twisted, but that's how my mind goes thinking about this. Like, I'm rooting for the Empire to create something very cool, because I know the amount of cash that they have, and I know realistically, they've got the cash to make something like this happen. The biggest problem with VR is the compatibility of all of the different instruments. The headset, the suit, and having an experience that can give you a total sense overload feedback, and having all the pieces of equipment work together as one. That's kind of like the real technical hurdle right now, is to get all this compatible with one another. And I think Meta could do that. I think Meta is actually working on that. But then the second reason, not just for the gaming industry, the second reason I'm really kind of rooting for them in a weird way is, imagine the discussion that we can have if they do it. Because then you get into a situation where you've got an evil corporation that's done it. But what do they do with it then? That's the question. Then you get into like decentralized applications where users and their input and the way they mod things becomes even more relevant, possibly more important. You know, like it becomes an Empire versus Rebel thing. Like, you know, it's a very weird thing to me because like the Rebels with the technology that they could use for VR would be like all in the vein, in the realm of like, hey man, you guys are taking things from people, data, because that's what they're gonna do. Meta's gonna do it in VR. If they've done it in Facebook, why fuck weren't they gonna do it in VR? They're gonna take more information, they're gonna use it the way that they want to use it, and that's too bad. And then you have the Rebels over here, the independent developers creating like really cool shit. It's gonna be a battle. It's gonna be a crazy battle, man. And I'm really excited about this space. I'm just so excited about this space. It's ridiculous.
Valve drops a standalone with Half-Life Alyx as a launch title.
Walker.
And now, back to the news. David. So, many of you may remember way back when the entire industry was basically Oculus versus HTC, with the original HTC Vive and Oculus Rift duking it out way back in 2016. And well, over the years, things have changed quite a bit. In general, HTC has just sort of fallen out of the consumer market after blunders like the Vive Cosmos, a headset that suffered from a lot of problems, and of course, the Vive Pro 2 not quite meeting expectations.
One of the main problems was that there were giant metal spikes in it, and when you... And when you died in the game, they would stab you through the eyeballs into your cerebral cortex. That was a severe problem with that headset. What's up, FaZe Kitten? Thank you for that subscription. We got our first action of the day. I love it when action happens on the stream. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, FaZe Kitten.
And the more recent Vive Flow receiving pretty mixed reviews. But just this week, HTC revealed a teaser for a brand new VR headset using the caption, "Go small or go home." And I think once I explain what could possibly be going on here, this whole prospect of a new headset from HTC is really exciting. I'll start with their current big projects. First, the Vive Flow that released last year. That headset is basically one of the smallest and lightest VR headsets ever made, and when I got to try it, I did end up liking it, but it's weird. It's expensive, only 3 degrees of freedom, and really just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But we did get to see firsthand that HTC knows how to make a pretty good, very small VR headset. And on the opposite side of things, the HTC Vive Focus 3 is without a doubt my favorite standalone VR headset ever made. It's comfortable, really high resolution, has good battery life, supports all sorts of fun things like Wi-Fi 6E, a face tracker, eye tracking. It's a cool package, but it's just not made for consumers. It's built for enterprise, including its price, costing significantly more than the Quest 2 or Pico 4. But what would happen if you combined all of those attributes into a headset built for consumers?
Wish I had that kind of
powerful
money.
Headset with a good resolution, with expandability, and a small size. Well, that's just what this headset may be, as an extension of the Proton project. Not to mention, HTC already has their own store built up in the form of Viveport, which instantly puts them quite a bit ahead of someone like Pico, at least for the time being. Of course, though, we'll just have to see what this thing is in person and see how much it'll cost. I'm hoping for a sub $600 high-resolution expandable
That'll ruin
Wi-Fi
the flow,
6E
Walker, but I like the
and,
sentiment,
well, just fix the mic, please. The Vive mic sucks. Do all of that and we'll definitely be talking. So I've said it 1,000 times and I'll say it 1,000 more, but I'm a massive fan of full body tracking for VR applications. For me and a lot of others, it cranks up the typical level of VR immersion and interaction to a whole different level, and I firmly believe that full body tracking of some sort is the future. But right now, it's expensive on the consumer side and hard to incentivize developers to implement. But imagine a world where you can have most of the benefits of full body tracking all without trackers. No cameras, no base stations, and really nothing else extra. And that's where this project, a full body estimation system called Standable, comes in. This is actually a system that people can use and run right now, as well as implement in their games to not only have better full body IK that makes games look better, but it can also be used to emulate something like full body trackers for any VR headset in the future. And looking at the comparison, Standable is a surprisingly good full body estimation system that probably offers around 30% of the full body experience that a full tracker setup would allow. But obviously this doesn't work for movements that are unpredictable, like picking up one leg at a time. But for everything else, it's pretty awesome. And an exciting step forward for good looking and more importantly, feeling full body IK and presence within VR. Definitely go check them out. This one's short, but basically Valve is looking for software engineers for a new VR headset. Don't know what this is. Some people are saying new headset confirmed, but we don't know when that's ever gonna happen. Could be 2 years, could be tomorrow, could be, I don't know, 10 years. We're all on Valve time here, but of course, I'm excited for it, so we'll see. So I know that there are a lot of people that watch this channel that want to get into the VR industry in some way, shape, or form, and really anybody can do it. It's all about getting connected and inspired in the right way. And recently, the MC Summit was just announced. Basically, the summit being an AR and VR conference for anyone interested in the XR industry. Really, it's just a one-day event put on so that people wanting to get in can connect and learn through this virtual conference. And coming up next month, MC Summit is bringing in a bunch of people, including myself, to talk about the VR industry and give chats about specific topics.
How rich is Gabe right now over at Valve, by the way? Like the DEF CON, you know what I'm saying, dude? Guy's just massively rich. He's the Jabba the Hutt of the video game industry, dude. Mucha pita pucha solo.
Topics and just, like I said, connect people. It sounds like fun and just a good idea, and the whole thing is free for anyone that comes from the Thrill Seeker community, so if that sounds like something you're into, sign-up forms are down below in the description, and hopefully I'll see you at the conference. So, what did you think about this year's Connect? How do you feel about Meta? Could this actually be a real redemption arc? Is this positive or negative? Let me know down below. And also, I want to say thank you to everyone that showed up to Rift, the IRL/VR event that we threw. It was a massive success during TwitchCon, and we just had a blast. Also, congratulations to ShelterCon for having an amazing event as well. It's kind of crazy. I never imagined 3 years ago that we'd be able to host IRL events and have people come together, which is especially important right now because things like Connect just aren't happening physically anymore. But I do want to say thank you to all of my Patreon supporters, especially my Omega.
Okay, so a lot of you in here say that Meta's gonna be able to do it. Like we had a vote. I would like to hear from the people watching this on YouTube as this goes over to YouTube. Again, one, if you think Meta's going to crash and burn and not be able to pull this off, and two, if you think they're actually going to stick through it and get to it. Everybody live, they were saying two. Pretty much. The majority of people were saying two. So very interesting.